All right. It's been a while, right, since I did kind of the off the cuff, or we can name it whatever. But it's gonna be off the cuff. I'm gonna speak and let my mouth be filled, right, with what I say. But I just wanted to really just shout out to everybody in their growth, in their place, and I can't say this enough. Have your discernment on. Somebody had sent me this link, and it was like a cartoon picture, and it showed a wolf apologizing that he would become a vegan or vegetarian, and the people that he's speaking to is politics, and he's speaking to as he speaks in this, it's a politics setup, and he tells them, I'm sorry, but I'm turning vegan, but it's a wolf. So and discern that. What it's telling you about in that realm. I know with everything going on and everybody's charged about yesterday's debate. Remember this, it's politics. Both sides are the same side of the same coin running game. This has been gone a long time. Yeah, we're waiting for things that we think we have, these alienated, right? They were gone a long. You look at my tongue. Long. L-O-N-G, many years ago. So what I'm here to say is, if you're going to put a ballot, and ballot actually is a type of bale. It's a feminine aspect of bale, a ballot. Vote actually means volt. They're charging you a ballot, Baal, the god of Baal. And I don't know if you guys had ever know anything about Edgar Casey, there's going to be two people I'm going to start doing. I'm going to do some videos on really soon. And one is Edgar Casey. And of course, the other one's going to be Walter Russell. But Edgar Casey said these were the children, in some of his prophecies, he was called the sleeping prophet. He said they called him the children of Baal. So when you see bailiff in the court, it's really talking about Baal. Lif. And then the ballot is the feminine aspect of Baal. And the vote, which is really them taking your volt energy. Come on now. They're occultic. Words mean everything when you decode it. So what am I here to say is you guys are living, and have all of us and those who are open on my channel, that we came down, we're decoding, we're waking up. We've had these great changes. Could you imagine living your life? And this is really what's happened is God had to go deep and dive deep to find himself and wake himself up again in people, because they have become very much under spell and spiritual amnesia, or like what I've said in former videos, soul loss, right? Spiritual amnesia, soul loss. So when we deal with that, we're knowing that God, use that word God, because some people even want to come at me with this. The word God actually means German king or German chief. Facts. It's a Germanic word, which would be for that culture. But I get it. Everybody uses it for the energy of that which is all. But the nameless is that which is all, goes into the void. It's all the greater much of consciousness. Anyways, not trying to bail on people use it. I get it. But I'm just being honest. That's what it means. Shout out. I had learned that a number of years ago. Actually from when I was in Secret Energy, Seven Bomar had brought that out years ago. And it made sense when I started looking at it. And I think then later, I even heard it from some other people, like Gold Oil Drugs, right? Definitely some other people had mentioned that. Jordan Maxwell had mentioned that that's what it was. So, but think about this. The light, God, had to go down into the deepest parts of division of density to arouse or wake himself up, because the aspects of the humans who have that aspect of that connection, right, are asleep. They're slumbering and sleeping, and they're in such spiritual amnesia. God, using that word again, just to cover bases, or the all, had to come down and wake himself up again. It's like we're all fractals of, had to wake himself up to push himself into an awakening, because he got so far down density that it's fell asleep. We see it. We experienced it. But there is a different realm of this. The more that seems like that we're waking up, the more there's a lot of disclosure, but then there's a lot of high energy negativity, things being said and done, aspects of stuff happening, even adding up, right? Let's be honest with ourselves. We've experienced this in order to wake ourselves up, to bring forth ourselves in a higher consciousness. Now, going into alchemy, you really start looking at the highest forms of alchemy is taking sources, reducing it, taking to energetic, to we can say, you can call it, I've said spiritual alchemy, your left brain, right brain, and then you learn how to integrate them, and then they start being integrated into one, not divided so much anymore, right? Let me get my finger off that. You can see that. Sorry about that. I haven't did this video for a bit. Sorry about that. Dang. And I don't have a holder, so I'm holding this with my hand. So what are we seeing? What are we saying is, what is Danny saying? And it's off the cuff. There's an enlightenment coming on, right? That we keep getting enlightened. Enlightenment. The light comes on within. Mental. Your aspects of being mental is being turned on. We're waking up, but also there's a lot of stuff going and flying and coming at you in the outside aspects of what's happening in the reality. As you, if you don't know, not long ago, from the WEF, the WEF, the guy that's his name doesn't even flow off my tongue now, but from the World Economic Forum, the guy that's the spokesman, I hate to call him a gentleman, but anyways, that guy, just call him that guy, and that's being kind. Really, it is he said by 2030 nobody will own nothing, they'll be happy with it. We need folks, it's time for an awakening to our power, and this is connected into unity consciousness. So I had a video that came out earlier the other day, and that video was really about the fact that unity conscious versus the hive mind. You gotta watch it. It's going to go into what's the difference between unity conscious and the hive mind. Huge difference. Difference. Go watch the video. And that's what we're getting accustomed to. We're going past fate. I was in a situation with some people that shall be nameless over the weekend, and there was a high energetic negativity volt that was being caused into division and attacking the reality that I've said many times that we live in. What's the reality we live in? Pray and preyed upon, right? Is lived here. We live in that reality. The so-called place we live is perpetrator and prey all the time. Them that are seeking prey all the time. Them that are the prey for the predators, right? And that is here. It's been here. It's nothing new. But we're awaking from that because that's connected to the division, right? And then you start looking at this, and I'm going to even hit this harder. I've talked about it in the past. There's some things I want to kind of go back over, but and one of them is going to be the clairs. I'm going to reintroduce and do a whole new Clara series. Clairvoyance, clairsentience, clairaudience, and all the clairs. There's 5 of them. Just like there's 5 different things. I'm going to have an updated version of it because it was a little while back ago I did it. It was a while ago. with a little bit more truth to it, a little bit more revelation to it that I've acquired since I made it the first time. We have a lot of power. Then I have some videos that will be coming out that you may see before, you actually may see it before this one. So I'm going to go ahead and say it about technology, psychic technology, declassified psychic technology, where it shows you that the governments knew about the psychic abilities, and way back in the 40s, in the 30s, 40s, and 50s, they were doing testing to see these people in Russia was about their psychic abilities. And there's actually the declassified papers there. You can read it. It will be in the video being shared. And also you'll be able to see this stuff. You are really valued, even though the people don't think they are. Your energy is valued. Now, out of love, out of unity, oneness, no. By use, by abuse and use. That's what's happened to us as a people. By use and abuse by a system that have us in divided states. But we fell, right, from one state of consciousness. But we're integrating and bringing forth the one. Bringing forth the unity, starting to learn to integrate other aspects of ourselves. And as others integrate the access of themselves into integration, so the two become one. Because what happens, I've said this many times, opposites attract, but if they don't harmonize, they'll repel eventually, because they'll not flow together in unity how they can work, even though they're opposites, right? So harmonizing, the harmony is needed naturally, but also is even relationships, but also within ourselves, because I always want to go to the intellectual mind and then the other side, the intuitive mind. If they don't learn to harmonize, they're opposites. They'll end up fighting, and one wants to steam above the other. But when you integrate them, they find the use. The two become even excelled higher in a higher usage of intuitiveness, in a higher usage of intellectual mind, in a higher state of reasoning for the intellectual mind. We are learning to collapse things, bring them into one, which will set the order, experience the hard times, but gives you the hard times brings you love. Sometimes we're thinking we're doing, I've definitely seen this, that I'm trying to overhelp somebody who's not really ready to be helped, or it's not really what was needed. They needed to walk the journey. Here what I am. And they may have wanted something from you, but then your spirit, you may not get the okay to do it, because you realize they need to go through something for their journey, like you did. And sometimes getting something that they need require them to go another way and realize maybe something else was happening in their will, what they're experiencing, and what where they're going in their journey to go past fate, 3D reality, into the reality of now you start creating your own and start writing your own book of what you're doing. Fate is temporal. Once again, fate is temporal. Fate's not the end, it's temporal, unless you let it be. Unless you go with it and don't do something different to clear. And as you clear, you start to change things, and you can start. That's just the beginning of writing your own purpose, not fate. Fate's very temporal. How many have been divorced and were married to somebody? Fate had you married, but it didn't stay married, right? Because it wasn't the full purpose. It was fate. There is a fate in why you got married, and it ended. It's temporal. Fate's always going to be temporal, but many want to make fate eternal, and then they do it, and then they get caught in the trap, because lack of knowledge, you'll be ignorant, right? Lack of knowledge is ignorance. Ignorance for the lack of knowledge. So some might say, what are we doing? We're starting to integrate. We're starting to really receive our power. We're starting to understand our unity. We're starting to understand our experiences, that we can actually go dimensional and collapse things that were belief systems, and then we start walking in a dimensional light of a higher standard or state that we start kissing the 5D and start harnessing the 5D and pull it into the 3D, and then we have a change of density like that. The D's to the D to the density, D to the D to the density, D to the D to the density. Start changing it. Not necessarily overhauling it and making it a 5D. That would have to come much, much, much later. But the spirit and the energetic fields can start being creative. Once we start creating from a 5D, the illusions of that which we thought was are no longer in power for us, right? And why I'm saying this is that we're going through these alchemical changes. Alchemy really is the way things are created, and that's why you have to go through the process of alchemy. That's why you got to take on the fire water. And you might say, what do you mean? That's part of it. You got to take on the fire water. And I know, being a Native American, that used to be an old saying for drinking alcohol. But this fire water, I'm talking alchemical. These two elements right here are creation and flow of creation. Can destroy, but also create. And also cleanse. So that's why when we look at this, that we keep going through this process of alchemy, and as we come again, we're getting to the drosses again, and then we may have to go through it again to get some more dross out. Why? We're really cleansing our ego by doing that. We're cleansing our egoic, divided, dualistic nature by going through the process of the alchemical journey, which is everything to do with creation. Alchemy's so deep, it's not just one thing. And the conscious community, at a lot of times I've been around, have never really got it, and I'm deep diving on it at this time, and touching a little bit, and I've been touching Gnosticism, reading Gnostic books, seeing some Gnostic teachers, and getting that I'm taking some out of Gnosticism, alchemy, esoterica, and the different types of teachings, practices that are out there, and then you take them and harmonize them, and you take that which is good out of all of them, because once you do that, you'll realize that all that is there, that you need the gnosis. You hear me talking about the time? It's not something, no, you need the gnosis. That's your knower. You need your knower turned on. How do you think you know stuff without gnosis? If you don't have gnosis, you're just a believer. And you believe anything. Peanut butter's toe jam, because I believe that. Which we know that's not a fact. Toe jam's toe jam. It's not peanut butter. Crazy example, but I just kind of threw that out of left field. So then you might say, well, what are you really trying to do? What are you really trying to say? I'm trying to say that there's an aspect of a change coming on that's going to harmonize with the change that's outside of us, but be aware of your inner thing, of your inner alliance. It needs to be, for you guys here that listen to me, it needs to be the priority. It needs to be the priority. It really needs to be priority number one, because there's an unleashing of more, when you go through this process, of more power that you're capable of managing, because you keep going through the alchemical process, getting out the dross, getting out that which is not like it, getting out the poisons, getting out which is the dross, right? Gold, the fiery trials of your faith, I'll go biblical, will make you as pure gold. That's alchemy. And I thought about it, and I go, man, that's alchemy. When the Old Testament talks about the refining fire, the refinement's fire, that's talking about alchemy. Because Western alchemy comes from Arabic. This is all connected to that area, right? You got there's actually Asian alchemy. Yes, Eastern Asian alchemy. There's different types of alchemy out there. And they're different, but not. Or they're divided, but not really. When you start knowing these aspects, you can take the best of what you learn. When I really started looking at deep into Gnosticism, and I started looking at certain things, and I'll go in on the Old Testament. When I look at the story of the New Testament, Jesus ain't like the Old Testament. It's not. fact, he tells them that practice Yahweh, and which is Yada-Baal, which is this one that's always jealous, and he's jealous that there's other gods, and seems to be a little insecure, that needs therapy kind of guy. I had some younger folks tell me, that use a lot of street lingo, but are awake. Throw another word, which I'll now say here, but I get it, and I've said it too off. Not on here, I haven't. But anyways, it's like you need therapy. You don't have love, and then you see Jesus tell them that you're of your father, the devil, and then I'm like, and that's just what we know. Go to the Gnostic Gospels; it's straightforward, telling you what the demiurge is, what Yahweh. Jehovah, yeah. Jealous. And then you think about you. If I'm jealous, I'm a sinner, but the God that's supposed to know all things and have all power and have and is omnipresent is jealous? But if you're jealous, you're a sinner. That guy sounds like he's got a self-esteem problem, needs a psychiatrist. Maybe he needs a therapy, because you seem like there's a lot of weird shit going on with it. And that's when I noticed that years ago. But Gnosticism, for me, has made that really clear. Yeah, I get Yada-Baal and that, right? I'm just being honest. And then when you start tying the alchemy and the esoterica and these different curriculums, because they were curriculums that were taught. Besides the secret societies we see running around deceiving everybody these days, that we now see clearly, that used to be, the tinfoil hats believe that. The news is saying it. Age of disclosure. But don't mean that you believe in them as far as that. They'll play both sides. Somebody that ends up going in and say somebody that goes into, breaks into your reality, goes in, to really play both sides, meaning controlled opposition, but pretend like they're of you, but when you know they're not, you discern they're not of you. That's happening all the time. It's happening very, 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 very fast, and a lot of the disclosures through that. Yeah, they may be telling you, but they don't mean that they're... It's just kind of but it's happening faster, the dividing, but also the consciousness, stability of raising it. It's not a choice. You are here for this. To wake up to where you're really at and have some choice where you go, instead of being caught on the Ferris wheel and you keep matching the same frequency that gets you back, coming back, Jack, do it and again and over, and no growth and no imagination and no waking up. But God, if I can use that term, said, I got to go down there and wake myself up, because there's some sleepiness. There's some spiritual amnesia. The folks ain't waking up. They keep pushing away through. And a lot of people, I'm just going to be honest, they like their flesh. They like their experience in the natural, having power and wanting to rule there. And I know you're good enough discernment to figure out what I'm talking about there. But you guys are awesome. There's emotional changes. You can feel it deep within your stomach, right? I can. Almost like there's emotional changes, and then I get in and then you feel the states of knowing, but then you see all the continual, and the outer aspect, you see all the continual confusion. I mean, we have in the political arena, this is a joke. You can never get any more joke. This things are done right in front of us. It's almost like we're laughing at you that you're stupid because you fall for believing any of this. Because, I mean, things are just come out, that are just like pushing just like stupid is as stupid does. I mean, really? X and Y chromosomes are real. Facts. Now, I'm not saying that people don't go through some dysphoria. Maybe in past lives, there's some dysphoria for something you were that you're not now. but to be pushed in an agenda, as we've seen the agendas for division and not for healing. We need the inner healing is a must, not a, well, I'll choose to if I do and I don't. And then you end up having all these, because that video I put out the other day, are you transcending transcendence? Are you using your transcendence? Or are you avoiding by bypassing it, but pretending that you're healing? But because that blind spot will come back at you because you're a reflection of light. And if you don't change that, you'll end up being polarized to one side or the other instead of harmonized in the middle, seeing clearly each side, the 180, right? Eyes behind the back of my head, I can see the 360. It's time for that awakening. Don't leave everything, and you can't get everything because you have multiple lives and stuff, but there's some things you have to deal with. Acknowledge your inner child. That inner child relationship's been with you for a while, and it needs acknowledgement because it feels alone. And I've said this before, but just we're taking the fractals and we're piecing them together, because the drop of water in the ocean, or is it an ocean in a drop of water? I think it's B for all of you and for me. You guys have a great day. From West Coast Uncensored. See you soon. And you're going to see the editing on this from my phone instead of through how I do my videos now in the setting with my big West Coast Uncensored behind me. I love this editing way more than what's on my computer that I do that's on the phone. I do. I love this editing that I can't get on my computer. To me, that's an issue. That editing should be available on computer too, but it's not. But you guys have a great day. Love you all, and have a great day.